So the first thing would be to determine the length of your dress from your chest line to wherever you want it to be. So here is the fabric I'll be using. It's a combination of rayon and linen. So we basically need a big rectangle, and that would be 1.5 times your bust circumference. My bust circumference is 34 and 1.5 times that is 51. The first thing we need to do would be to hem the upper part of this rectangle. So I'm going to fold it twice and then I would pin it down and run a straight stitch. The next thing would be to start making the lines for the shirring. I'm just going to use 1 centimeter and I'm going to mark that all the way. Now these lines should be on the right side of the fabric, but mine is on the wrong side because of the type of fabric I'm using. You would have to keep creating the lines until you get to the length you want for your shirring. Mine was a little bit below the bust and this is what it looks like. The next thing would be to cut out the sleeves. You would also need rectangles for the sleeves, but smaller rectangles this time. So I made mine 27 inches wide and 24 inches long. So this is the first one and here is the second sleeve. So now to the main bodice. I'm going to start by hemming the upper part of the dress all the way, and once I'm done with this, I would introduce the shirring. So here is the shirring thread. I'm going to wind the bobbin with my hands and not the sewing machine. So when you're winding the bobbin for your shirred thread, you use your hands. So once you're done with that, you can begin with the lines you created already, just like I'm doing. So you'd have to keep going until you get to the last line you created for your shirring, and your stitch length should be the longest stitch on your sewing machine. The next thing to do would be to move to the sleeves and create the casing for the elastic band. So I'm going to pin this down based on the allowance I left for the elastic casing. And once I was done, I would run a straight stitch all the way and the elastic band would be in the middle. The next thing would be to move to the lower part of the sleeve. So I marked 4 inches from the bottom all the way, and I also created this. It was 2 inches and then I folded both ends. So I'm going to place this on the 4-inch mark I just created. So I'm going to pin it down, and there's going to be an elastic band in the middle. I'll show you how to go about this. And then I'll run a straight stitch at both ends. And the last thing will be to hem the bottom part of the sleeves. You can iron this down before pinning it down so it looks neat and nice. So once I was done, I would run a straight stitch all the way. So now to the sewing machine. This is the upper part of the sleeves. So now to the lower part of the sleeves. I'm just going to run a straight stitch at both ends. I'll start with one end and then I'm going to do the same for the other end. And the elastic band would be in the middle. So once I was done, I would have to hem the bottom part. So here is the sleeve and what it looks like. I'm going to insert the elastic band. I'll just show you how to go about that now. So I'll use my pin, and then I'll push it through all the way to the other side, just like I'm doing. And once I was done, I would use a zigzag stitch to end it both ways. And this is what it looks like. So I'm going to do the same for the lower part of the sleeves. And this is what they all finally look like. So I would pin it down right sides facing, and then I would run a straight stitch to close the sleeve. So this is the main bodice and what it looks like. Here is the back of the shirring. So I'll turn it to the other side as well, right sides facing. I'll pin it down and then I'll run a straight stitch to close this up. And by the time you're done running a straight stitch, you're basically done. I didn't attach my sleeves, I just left it detached. But if you'd like to add your sleeves, then you can do that and you're basically done.